I'd like to call the special meeting to order, and if you'll please rise, we'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. What a wonderful looking group. We've never had this many at a special board meeting before, and I think this is an historic event because these three groups have never met before. So this is an awesome opportunity, and we're very happy that all of you were able to come this evening. And I think it would be nice if we just pass the mic around and everyone has an opportunity to just say their name and what their position is. And I'm Margie Bennett, and I'm president of Mount Vernon City School Board.
Jody Getzman, and I'm vice president of Mount Vernon City School Board. Good evening, I'm Judy Forney, and I'm the treasurer for Mount Vernon City School Board.
Mary Regola-Dye, member of Mount Vernon City Schools Board of Education.
Welcome to Twin Oak tonight. I'm Cheryl Friesel, a board member, Mount Vernon City Schools.
Steve Thompson, board member, Mount Vernon City Schools.
Henry Spalding, the president of Mount Vernon Nazarene University.
Justin Nowicki, director of development at Mount Vernon Nazarene University.
Chip Wilson, director of athletics at Mount Vernon Nazarene University.
Tony Edwards, facilities director at Mount Vernon Nazarene University.
James Smith, Vice President for University Relations at Mount Vernon Nazarene University.
I'm Bill Cedar, Superintendent of Mount Vernon City Schools, and let's do this.
Brian Wall, City Engineer, City of Mount Vernon.
Joel Daniels, Safety Service Director, City of Mount Vernon.
I'm Rob Ward, I'm law director for the City of Mount Vernon.
Terry Scott, I'm Auditor for the City of Mount Vernon.
Dick Mavis, Mayor of the City of Mount Vernon.
Matt Starr, City Council, City of Mount Vernon.
Nancy Vale, City of Mount Vernon City Council.
Mike Hilliard, Mount Vernon City Council.
John Francis, Mount Vernon City Council.
Janice Sebo, Mount Vernon City Council.
Sam Baroni, Mount Vernon City Council.
Bruce Hawkins, President, Mount Vernon City Council. Can I ask that we call roll for the City Council? Tanya Newell.
Mr. Brony?
Here.
Mr. Francis?
Here.
Mrs. Vale? Here. Mrs. Siebel? Here. Mr. Starr?
Here.
Mr. Hilliard?
Here.
Mr. Menapace?
We are in session.
We also need to call the roll. Our treasurer will do so now, please.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mrs. Fiesel?
Yes.
Mrs. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Thank you. We are in session.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Mount Vernon City Schools for hosting us this evening. We wanted to have it in our City Hall after we revamped the City Council chambers, but we took a little longer to fix the steps in front of City Council than we thought, so we had to take the pews out. We couldn't do that without the steps. So I really appreciate Mount Vernon City Schools hosting us this evening, especially with this large group. We still have a hard time squeezing that in the City Council chamber, so appreciate what you're doing. I think we're ready to begin, and we're going to start with Sam Baroni, Executive Director of Knox County Foundation.
Thank you, Bruce. And I'm going to step out of my role as a member of the City Council tonight and slip into the role that I play by name, which is the Executive Director of the Knox County Foundation. Many of you may still know our organization as the Community Foundation of Mount Vernon and Knox County. Even some of you may still remember it as the Mount Vernon Community Trust, which it was established as in 1944. Tonight, in this role, I have the privilege to tee up a series of presentations that we collectively refer to as the Access to Opportunity Program. And I think the reason for this moniker will become abundantly clear as we work through a series of about 15 minutes each, presentations that will be given first by Brian Ball, the city engineer of Mount Vernon, then by Bill Cedar, the superintendent of Mount Vernon City Schools, and then by James Smith, the director of development for the Mount Vernon Nazarene University. For our part, we are talking tonight about a partnership that has developed among those three organizations and with the Community Foundation, the Knox County Foundation, if you will, playing a supporting role. Reprising a role really that it has often played in the community, dating back perhaps to 1968, when it served as the central collection of funds and support for the purchase of the old Lakehold Farm, which eventually became the Mount Vernon Nazarene College and now University. In successive years, we have served in a similar role with other large-scale community projects, largely using our ability as a nonprofit 501c3 public charity to collect funds, to deposit them in a trusted organization, giving donors confidence that the money will be spent for its intended purpose. And we also have the ability at the foundation to process gifts that are often more cumbersome or difficult for individual entities to process. For example, a gift of real estate, gifts of securities, stock, bonds. These are things that we routinely do at the foundation, and offering these services and our role as a convener of sorts for the partners in this particular venture is the role that we are once again playing, and we are proud to play. So I would like to fulfill my role tonight as the setup guy by asking you to take a little journey over the past 2 decades with me, just to relive mentally the journey that we have traveled in making our community a much stronger community. These projects that we're going to review tonight, just in a span of a couple of minutes, are projects that were conducted jointly by agencies that were both public and private in nature, supported by very generous philanthropists in our community, and guided by individuals with a great vision in terms of making our community a community that is ready to embrace the challenges of the 21st century, and to make our community one that is inviting to those we wish to attract to our community, and that includes those who create jobs that are very, very important to the vitality of our community. I want to begin back in about the year 2000. As you can see, we have highlighted Ariel Foundation Park, because in the year 2000, the city of Mount Vernon, with the assistance of the Community Foundation at the time, was able to pull together, I think, about $300,000 perhaps, to purchase the old Goodwin Sand and Gravel quarry along the banks of the Kukosi River, about a 9-iron shot from downtown Mount Vernon. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having the foresight at that particular time to realize that one day that would be a strategic location for the city to develop an incredible recreational resource. Some might say that the journey to this great progress we have experienced over the last 20 years really began 2 decades earlier, in the early 1980s, when a true visionary of our community, Phil Samuel, began to ponder the possibility of acquiring the old CA&C Pennsylvania Railroad right-of-way and converting it into a Rails to Trails project. This was done not without some difficulty, but with great cooperation of the Knox County Commissioners, several donors who were successful in creating the Kukosi Gap Trail. Little did we know the impact that that trail, which now courses through Ariel Foundation Park, connects to the Heart of Ohio Trail in the park, and is part of the larger Ohio River to Lake Erie trail system. We didn't know, I think at that time, just what economic impact that trail project would bring to our community. And of course, throughout these 25, 26 years that we have had the trail in our community, it has provided a wealth of recreational and health promoting opportunities for our citizens and for those surrounding us in the Central Ohio region who have really developed an attraction to that trail. So here we are in 2000, we have a park, and it really wasn't until the mid-2000s that things began to develop. Sure, we saw the development of the Kiwanis Picnic Pavilion, and that certainly aided and abetted those early high school cross-country meets that were one of the major events in the park, largely undeveloped at the time. But around about 2009, the development of the Foundation Park Conservancy really triggered the development of what we see today. And I don't have to go into much detail to convince you or to remind you what an incredible asset Ariel Foundation Park has been in our community. It has been lauded not only for its recreational benefits, but also as a sterling example of industrial reuse, with the Pittsburgh Plate factory site being converted into a very innovative park. And this is something that Kim Rhodes, our president of the Conservancy, has had occasion to talk about throughout the country at forums that deal just with that particular challenge. What do cities do with these defunct industrial sites that threaten to be a blight in our community? Well, what we have done with our particular industrial site has been noticed and continues to be celebrated, not only in the state, but in the country. Right about the time that things were heating up at Foundation Park, I recall it must have been August of 2006. Then President Bonnie Coe of Central Ohio Technical College came to us at the Community Foundation in the month of August. It was a very hot August day, and she shared with us a vision that she had of expanding the footprint of COTC, which then had been renting space for a number of years for evening classes at the Career Center, and they wanted to develop a full-blown regional campus and place it in downtown Mount Vernon. That would prove to be a very, very auspicious beginning to what has become a major downtown reimagination. That project, which came to fruition in 2007, many of you, I know, are in the photograph at the ribbon cutting for that great opening of the COTC facility. And soon after, very soon after, the first of 4 major construction projects involving Mount Vernon Nazarene University began to unfold in that South Main Street corridor. First, we had the Buchwald Center and the Schnormeyer Gallery, housing the art department of MVNU. That was followed by the development of Hunter Hall with the emerging and growing nursing program of MVNU. In between, we had the not insignificant development of the Mount Vernon Grand, which is managed by the university. And very recently, the opening of the Stephen Neese Center, which houses the growing engineering program, as well as a larger expanded home for Knox Labs makerspace, available to everybody in our community. Another not insignificant development occurred just a couple of years ago, and that was Kenyon College becoming the 3rd of our county's higher education institutions, planting its flag in downtown Mount Vernon with a beautiful restoration of our iconic Buckeye Candy Building that now, of course, holds the growing film program of Kenyon, as well as its community outreach program, and importantly, an expanded, innovative space for SPY, the Interactive Science Museum, geared at children of all ages. That's not all. There are so many things going on in our community, and I will risk missing some by just mentioning a few other things that are going on. 1 hour ago, I believe, we broke ground on the fairgrounds for a brand new, beautiful 4-H youth programming center. We have in the works on the east end of town an incredible new family health center at Knox Community Hospital. We have a new YMCA addition well underway. Kenyon College is expanding its library and an academic quad, in addition to having just spearheaded a redesign of downtown Gambier businesses. Downtown Mount Vernon is in the midst of demolition, the early phases for creating residential lofts that will be housed by folks associated with the hospital, with Kenyon and Mount Vernon Nazarene. These are going to be on the upper level of the east side of South Main Street, bringing to downtown Mount Vernon something that drastically needs people who actually live there and continue to stimulate the business development. And I will just throw in something that people may or may not be aware of. Last year, the Knox County Foundation made a major investment in the economic development of our villages by agreeing to finance strategic plan development in every one of our Knox County villages that we believe are going to assist all of our municipalities and political subdivisions. It's going to enable them to ask some probing questions about how they best can serve their economic interests and their citizens, and we are ready to assist them in achieving whatever dreams come out of that development process. So there you have it. Now, you have no doubt heard bits and pieces of the project we are here to spend our time on tonight, and that is a look to the southeast of the area I have just been talking about, where Mount Vernon Nazarene University, the Mount Vernon City Schools, and the city of Mount Vernon, not totally coincidentally, but somewhat coincidentally, have major projects that are converging. But folks, these projects are converging in a very aligned, very coordinated, very synergistic manner, something you do not see in every community. So we are here tonight, and we have made it the single unique focus of our joint meeting tonight, a presentation in which you will get to know each of these projects a little bit more specifically, in greater detail. And then shortly after we adjourn, following these presentations, we will have the opportunity not only to enjoy refreshments, compliments of the Mount Vernon City Schools, but also to visit each of the tables where these projects will have their representatives ready and willing to answer your deeper questions and to get you prepared to answer questions to those who may approach you. I sincerely hope that each and every one of you at the end of this evening will be as excited as I am, as all of the participants of these projects are, about what is about to transpire in our community. Because truly, they are going to enable our youth and our population in general to access opportunities that have been unavailable to them in the past. And with that, it is my pleasure to pass the baton to our first presenter tonight, and that is from the City of Mount Vernon, City Engineer Brian Ball.
Thank you so much, Sam. I'm truly honored to be here representing the city. Usually you don't think of the engineer as a city representative, so most people honk at me. So So just a quick outline of my 15 minutes here or less, hopefully. Things we're actively involved in: the Mount Vernon Avenue Bridge replacement, the Yellow Jacket Drive extension, the Yellow Jacket Drive water line, and we are also the regulatory entity representing the EPA and FEMA for floodplain and stormwater and erosion control. Those authorities have been delegated to the city level because those agencies don't have the funding to do that at the federal and state level. So we're kind of in all over the place, you could say. So we'll start out with the Mount Vernon Avenue Bridge with the wisdom of Mr. Cameron Keaton, now county engineer. Based on the 2012 bridge inspection, they were seeing accelerated degradation and a need to replace the bridge earlier than would be expected. The bridge is a little over 40 years old. And so fortunately, Cameron had the insight to start the process and begin nailing down federal and state funds for us to be able to replace this bridge. We do not want to have to pay cash for this. A lot of people say, hey, why are you waiting until the bridge is completely used up? Well, I mean, when I use a ballpoint pen, I use it until it's done. But when we have a bridge is a major safety feature. And at this point, the bridge is fully rated. It can take full-size vehicles, trucks, fire trucks, ambulances. So it is safe. A lot of people ask that question. This bridge is safe, but we're seeing degradation. We have the money nailed down, and we have a construction schedule. So we are moving forward with a replacement. But the other thing is we look at this phase diagram. We were also able to nail down state and federal funding to add improved bike lanes to the bridge. So on the north side and the south side, we did have public meetings at the middle school back in 2016. And the input we heard from the community is we want bike lanes. Based on that input, we were able to go back to ODOT and ask for more money. And they said yes. So this bridge will be quite a bit wider. It will be 3 driving lanes and 2 bike lanes. The bike lanes will be 13 feet plus a concrete parapet. So what you see out there now will not be replaced in kind. So this will be a major upgrade. It will have 1 less pier, so it will be a little bit more efficient for the flow of the river. Modern concrete beams, which we hope will be made right here in Mount Vernon. And we don't have everything nailed down. So once this goes out to bid, ODOT will be leading the project. So we are a little bit on their timeline. So we're hoping that we have a contractor in place July 1st with an August 1st construction date. But after we write them the check, it's really in ODOT's hands to proceed through the year-long construction. We've broken this out in the phases, so you understand the south side of the bridge would be taken off first. We would set a parapet wall. Traffic will be 1 lane on the north side of the bridge with traffic signals. So traffic will be maintained. The only time we cannot maintain traffic, this bridge again will be slightly higher and have a little bit different slope to it. So we'll have to, the phase 2 and phase 4, we'll have to go out and remove the asphalt and make those new approaches to the new bridge deck. So they're predicting 2 sets of 21-day closures to make those approaches. Now again, if we get a good contractor, that may be less. Once we have that information and the contractor on board, we'll be putting this information out as the summer rolls out. So we'll talk about the detour. First of all, obviously, if you've been on Columbus Road today, I apologize, but we're fixing that area too. The best thing is to go, if you're in the south end of town and you need to get to Coshocton Avenue, you need to get to Gambier, think about taking an alternative route. Mr. Starr had some high school students do a really interesting study showing that going on Edgewood Road versus taking Main Street to High Street to Coshocton Avenue is almost exactly the same amount of time. Now, before July 2nd last year, that was different. So with our Coshocton Avenue improvements and the retiming of the downtown traffic signals, we have made the route from where we are today, right here to Coshocton Avenue, just as efficient to go through downtown as to go around and cut through Edgewood Road. Last year, in the early part of the year, it was not more efficient to go that way. So we've done some preparation. We've been working toward this. So think about alternative route. I know it's still, depending on exactly where you are, it's still easier to go across the bridge. So again, we're showing an alternative route. We will be maintaining traffic on Cougar Drive because the Nazarene University and our coordination, they need to get their deliveries, all those things that are trucks that go to the Naz, go into Cougar Drive, and for some of the students, it may be easier to enter through the main gate. Also, and I see at least one commissioner in the room, so there's also a county bridge involved in this project. The Lower Gambier Road Bridge is currently rated at 3 times. So that is no garbage trucks, no fire trucks, and no ambulances. So somewhere in this parallel process, we believe that the county engineer will be buying a new bridge and setting it on the existing foundation. So, you know, Lower Gambier Road will be impacted by our project, also be impacted by the county's project. Because that bridge is in poor condition and it is only rated for 3 times. So, the other thing that's really important, we talked about commerce, economic development. There's a lot of people using our river trails, and the ODNR, Department of Natural Resources, they track that. So during the active construction this summer, our construction contractor will be required to assist kayakers, canoers, tubers, river enthusiasts in passing the construction zone. So when we're taking down part of the bridge or building new parts of the bridge, we're not going to allow people to kayak under the job site during the workday. There'll be times where weekends and evenings and things that may be open. During the active work, we will be actually detouring the river traffic as mandated in the National Environmental Policy Act. Also, very important, Sam mentioned the Kokosin Gap Trail, and we had a lot of meetings to work through the details of keeping the trail open the maximum amount possible during the summer construction season. So with the south side of the bridge, there's really no impact to the trail. It will still be open on the north side. The city will be paving that section, kind of the abandoned section of the Kokosin Gap Trail that goes to Phillips Park. In our paving season that was awarded in 2018 but not completed, we'll be improving that section of trail so that it doesn't have tree roots growing up through the asphalt, so that it can be a handicap accessible detour once we go to the next phase. So that will be open and improved before we start construction. Actually, I have a laser pointer. Yeah, so if you see this section that goes to Phillips Park, if you've been on that trail recently, it's in really poor condition. We've trimmed the trees back and we're ready to pave. We're just waiting for the season to start. So again, this is our second phase where we're making the transitions to the new bridge that will be on the south part. With the third phase, we'll be switching things over. There'll be a little bit of limited access while we do the changes to we can put the bike traffic on the south side of the bridge. Again, this is something we'll have to work very closely with the contractor to get access east and west, but we will guarantee access. We'll move the bike trail temporarily over to Quarry Street, and then it'll detour through Howard Street, back past the Spy Building and into town. So it will be a period where it will be more difficult to get from the trail to the Memorial Park. That's it. And again, phase 4, we're also having this 21-day closure to connect pieces to the approaches. And hopefully, then also, I don't know if we mentioned it, so also is a good partnership. So with ODOT, with our second trail across the bridge on the south side, we were required to have a logical terminus. And in those discussions, we talked about connecting that to the high school and to the Nazarene University. So this project will build a new trail following Cougar Drive all the way to the gate of the Nazarene University. Because again, we needed that logical terminus. The Nazarene University graciously donated the land for that trail, and 95% of that is paid for by ODOT, 5% by the city. Additionally, as we relocate this corner of the bridge, the commissioners donated land so we can turn the bike trail across at a 90-degree angle, so there's less exposure time between the bicyclists, the walkers, and the traffic. And when we're done, again, it'll be 3 lanes. We'll have a full-length left turn lane across the bridge for Cougar Drive. Cougar Drive intersection will be reconstructed So it'll be 3 lanes. You'll have a lane in, and you'll have a dedicated right and a dedicated left when you leave Cougar Drive onto Mount Vernon Avenue. And we'll skip on to, so again, a lot of this in some ways is prep for the master plan that the mayor and city council had moved forward starting in 2016. And we'll get to that in a second. So everyone always asks about funding. So I have a slide here from Mr. Terry Scott. We say approximately because this still has to go out to bid. So in a normal ODOT project, they give us an estimate, they go out to bid, and then they come back and ask for a second check. So we're in the process, Terry's working through the process of getting the bond placement completed tomorrow. I think he has that closed, and then we'll be mailing them the first big check, which will cover our share of the construction costs and the 10% fee for their construction oversight. Now, my office and a lot of folks will be heavily involved in that, but the responsibility of construction oversight does lie with ODOT. So if you see something you don't like, let me know. We'll call ODOT, but we're not directly, we have to turn it over to them and let them build it with their terms. So this kind of outlines, we have 3 ODOT projects. The 2.5 is the municipal bridge program, and then 2 of these transportation alternatives which help pay for the bridge beams, the bridge deck. They create those 2 travel lanes for the multi-use biking, walking trail. And the donation to real estate helped keep the price down. So, and again, I was jumped ahead. The master plan, where we want to connect the high school, middle school campus to Cougar Drive, create a extra outlet, improve safety. I'm sure everyone has been involved in the student pickup or drop off at the campus there. So the Yellow Jacket Drive extension is something that was seen as a very expensive project on the wish list. And Cameron had been working on it, I've been working on it, but as this collaboration came together, we saw a great opportunity for everybody to work together, and some volunteers, and some training from the operators, local operators union, collaboration where things were going to need to be moved anyway for a lot of these construction projects. We'll hear in a few minutes. And we think we've got that price down to a reasonable number, and kind of we have three good partners coming together for Yellow Jacket Drive. So we're finishing up the design on that and coordinating access for buildings, and we'll hear more about that. Yellow Jacket Drive water line, it is in our water line master plan since 2003. We revisited that plan in 2016, and we're opening bids at 11 o'clock tomorrow. And we have, I think, 9 very interested bidders. So that is funded and will go into construction. The water line is very important for the fact that we need to provide fire suppression to the high school, the middle school, and all of these new facilities. So it's something where we know we're a little low on fire suppression, but when we're done, we'll be good. The other thing where the city's heavily involved, particularly my office, is working with the stormwater and making sure that as these buildings are built, they'll be above the floodplain, they will be following all of those hard rules that the EPA has for us. And we're doing some creative partnerships. We have everyone in the room, plus we have a consultant from Ohio State University who's an expert consultant with the EPA helping us. So I think I've told enough stories. And again, I'll be right over here when you have questions. I'd like to introduce Mr. Bill Seeger.
Thank you, Brian. Well, we're really excited to have you here. Welcome to Twin Oak. This is Twin Oak Elementary, and I've got to throw a quick bragger out there. 2018 National Blue Ribbon School, one of only 16 in the state of Ohio. So an awesome accomplishment by this school and their staff and students. And we're here tonight, and it's just a real nice place to be together. So we're excited you're here. I was at the NVMU President Spalding's luncheon today, and I couldn't help but be reminded that 6 years ago, right about this time, right in April, I was at that one of those times in my life where it was like, where's the next chapter for the Cedar family? And we had a couple opportunities at that time, and praying about it, and it was just, which one do we go with, right? And And I kept hearing about Knox County. It's a special place. There's something special about Knox County. And as a family, we took a leap of faith and we came here. And I can tell you, in my 6 years, we are incredibly grateful and humbled to work and live right here in Knox County and in Mount Vernon. So it was a great decision. And the things that are going on right now are just examples of why I feel that way. I actually thought of telling a joke before I jumped right in. So what do you get when you get an attorney, an engineer, 2 vice presidents, a CFO, and throw in an Odenweller? Well, I thought of all kinds of funny things to say about that, but all that to say there's a group of those folks who we've been meeting almost weekly now for a month. And so while I can say some funny things about that camaraderie of fellowship, it's been an awesome team. And we couldn't be doing any of this stuff without the collaboration and the cooperation of individuals like that, community partners. This whole theme about bringing things together in a puzzle. I mean, we could have our little puzzle piece off there by ourselves, but if we're not merging over here with this group and this group and this group, we don't make this the kind of community that's really, really special. So I want to jump into our portion of this. The Education Gateway Project came about really as a third phase of a renovation project. So in 2014, we did a stadium renovation and we completed the track. And we did a collegiate level track. At that time, we were even having these shared conversations. And we also did a beautiful turf field, and there was some incredible support and collaboration that went into that. But the one thing we didn't finish was locker rooms. And so as we always kept that on the back burner, what came next was, you know what? We've been talking about a field house here for years, and I was told that there's been a field house of dreams. It started and it stopped. It has started and stopped several times, and so that kind of began to bubble towards the top. Well, when I first got here to Mount Vernon, we had a joint meeting with City Council, and believe it or not, back in 2013, we were talking about the Yellow Jacket Drive extension, and what an awesome thing that would be. And so that kind of percolated and bubbled a little bit to the top. And then to cap it all off, we've been thinking about some of our own facilities. And we have a transportation maintenance building that I'll show you here in a second that really is in need of, well, quite frankly, being replaced. And so as all those things bubbled to the top, we thought, wow, wouldn't that be awesome just to come up with something that was 4-pronged approach. We kind of added the stadium entrance fees, but really 3 core values, and we put them into what's called the Gateway Project. All right, it's Yellow Jacket Drive Extension, the Maintenance Transportation Building, a community field house, and then you'll see a stadium entrance piece. So let's start with Yellow Jacket Drive, and Brian showed you just a little bit about that. There are only 2 ways to enter or exit Mount Vernon High School and Mount Vernon Middle School campus. There's only 2 ways. All right, and with nearly 2,800 students either arriving or dismissing at various times in the day, if you've ever been out in that traffic flow pattern, it is a real challenge. Number 1, safety. Safety and first responder response time during an emergency is vitally important, and we could find ourselves in a real difficult situation if one of those opportunities would ever come our way. The second thing is access, as I shared. We have just 2 access points now. You can go up around the Career Center, and you can get out that way, or you can basically come out the front of the high school and go down Yellow Jacket Drive to Division Street. So we felt like we needed this extra access point. And thirdly is just the traffic flow. I've got a quick little video I want you to see. It lasts 1 minute. This might give you an idea of what it's like at the end of the day at Mount Vernon High School and Middle School campus. Every day that lasts probably about 20 minutes, and it takes a lot of patience to make sure that we can get people in and out of there safely. So this idea of Yellow Jacket Drive Extension was just a blessing to have the conversation about, but now it's actually something that's coming to fruition. The ability for us from a safety, access, and traffic flow to get folks in and out of the Mount Vernon High School, Middle School, Career Center campus is just vitally important. But you know what? We couldn't do it ourselves. It just isn't a Mount Vernon City Schools thing. We need partners. And you're seeing those right there. MVNU would be the first one. We were able to partner with MVNU and the city, and MVNU donated the land to complete the extension that will go from kind of right there in the parking lot out to Cougar Drive. Without MVNU's partnership, we wouldn't be able to make this happen. All right? The city's invested in this as well. They've done civil engineering work. They're looking to utilize that same access area for the water lines. Without the city, this wouldn't be a reality. It wouldn't be the conversation we need. And then we had another amazing blessing, and it really came from Bob Teal, our jacket boosters, connected us up with the Ohio operating engineers through some cocosing kind of connections. And they pick one project every year that they will put their apprentices on. And they selected Yellow Jacket Drive, the one project in the state of Ohio. And that is amazing and it's significant in and of itself. So as you look at this, as I point this out, so right here is Division Street, all right? Right here is the stadium and the parking. As you come down Yellow Jacket Drive, right now you'll kind of see the remnants of it. You turn into the parking lot area and it stops. Well, this extension is going to continue its way on out, and this isn't a perfect rendering by any means, but it's going to continue its way on out to Cougar Drive, and then Cougar Drive will go out to Mount Vernon Avenue. Just this extension is going to significantly improve our traffic flow, it's going to improve our safety, and it's going to provide us that third access point that'll be absolutely critical. Here's the timeline. Construction is slated to begin in the fall of this year. The fall of 2019 coming up. The cost. When Cameron was initially working on this back in 2014, there was an estimated cost of about $1.8 million to finish this road, this extension. But because of Bob's contacts and Ohio operating engineers and actually some modifications and a city engineer who's willing to look at things and get creative, we've taken a $1.8 million project down to what will be a $500,000 project. That's significant, and it's really, really important to us. The second part of our piece of the Gateway project is the maintenance and transportation building. If you know where our maintenance and actually our bus garage is today, it's out on Harcourt Road. It was built in 1954 and it sits on 1.9 acres. And you'll see from fence to fence and even on the back, you'll see buses, buses, buses. We have 30 buses, we have POW vehicles, and we're just to the max related to that. And so what we need is a maintenance transportation building to help us with size, function, and efficiencies. This new maintenance transportation building will double the size of our current building from 4,900 square feet to 12,000. It will provide us 4 bus bays compared to our current 2 bus bays. One of those will be a wash bay. It will provide us expanded bus and vehicle parking, which will be in kind, working collaboratively with MVNU. It'll provide us office space and transportation for maintenance as well as break room for drivers. Maintenance and storage areas have significantly increased, and it will improve the serviceability to our larger buses. We at one point were only able to purchase a bus of a certain size because the garage was so small we couldn't get them in. Well, now we can buy larger buses and therefore hopefully shrinking our fleet to some extent. There's some huge efficiencies from where we're going to move this maintenance transportation building. We're going to reduce travel time, we're going to reduce fuel and labor costs. Everything seems to almost start and end on a daily basis at the Mount Vernon High School Middle School campus. And even though it seems so insignificant, the distance between the parking lot at Mount Vernon High School to go out the Hardcourt Road and, by the way, go across the railroad tracks is 3.5 miles. 3.5 miles there, 3.5 miles back. And if you do that every day with 30 buses and extracurricular trips, there are going to be some efficiencies that really come from this process. It also provides us an opportunity for more sharing opportunities with MVNU. They don't have a bus garage, but they have some buses. I heard today they're taking 3 buses on a daily basis from their campus down to downtown. Those buses have to be maintained. They probably have to have a place to stay. And so by the proximity in which this is going to be and the closeness with MVNU, we're going to find sharing opportunities for those things as well. And the other thing we're going to do, which is really significant, I think, is we're future-proofing this facility so that we can look towards the future. We're looking at potential for CNG-capable work bays. So we might be looking at compressed natural gas buses and things that really will progress us through the future. You just can't do that anywhere. We're going to make sure that we have a facility that will accomplish that. You'll see a little drawing at the top. I know it's hard to see. We can show it to you a little closer when you get there. But essentially, you're kind of looking, you got your 4 bus bays here. There'll be a mezzanine here, a much larger maintenance area. And then, of course, we're going to have office areas and things like that at this area. That is a rendering. It's kind of a backside rendering, so it's going to kind of match a lot of the motif of the other things that we're doing. So this may not be one of those items that everybody's going, woohoo, a maintenance transportation building. But it is certainly something we need, and it's something that we think will give us some great benefits. So that's the second phase of the Gateway project. The one that seems to be getting all of the conversation, and perhaps rightfully so, is the community field house. The field house that some said was the field house of dreams. And so again, it started and stopped and started and stopped. And the athletic programs in Mount Vernon really have been underserved for decades due to lack of adequate facilities. We do our very, very best, but as we travel around from district to district, schools to schools, be it Columbus or even to the north, we're finding that that's just changing. And we really need to step up our support in this area. And we couldn't have done it, and we can't do it without the Booster Club being involved with that. So what does it look like? What is this field house? Well, I got to be honest with you. The field house started pretty simple. Remember what I told you at the beginning? We needed locker rooms. So we thought about locker rooms. And then we said, well, what else do we need? Well, we got kids practicing till 8 o'clock at night, in basketball and in the winter season. So, you know what, we probably need a couple more courts. That would really be important. And, oh, by the way, our wrestling team is down there at Pleasant Street, and they can never start practice until 4 o'clock. Wouldn't it be nice to bring wrestling back up to the campus? And does anybody know where the weight room is at the high school? If you do, good for you, but it's tucked in behind a mezzanine behind the yellow jacket wall in the gym. And if you go up there, you darn near have to all get your flashlights out so you can see what's going on. So we had some real upgrading needs that needed to take place. Well, we were able to accomplish those things. And so you'll see a wrestling room over here. You're going to see a weight room. That's going to be in this location. We've also included some meeting rooms that we would like to not only use for our board meetings, but for our public. We're hearing that it's hard to find meeting spaces and meeting rooms. And so we wanted to give back in that capacity as well. We've got our locker rooms here. And again, as we began to think about these collaborative kind of efforts, this is the men's locker room here, and this is the women's locker room here, but we've even cordoned them off where we can make one big locker room or 2 smaller locker rooms. So as we begin to share with MVNU, we can kind of keep our separate spaces when we need to do so. I'll be honest, this part right here, this was never in our initial vision. I mean, we envisioned 2 extra courts and we had a nice little walking track. Well, then one day I got a call from James from NBNU, and he said, Bill, can we talk? And we had already really been pretty started in this process, and I said, well, sure, come on over, let's have a conversation. And we had this conversation a little bit a year prior, and it just wasn't the right time. But with James' leadership and the leadership team that they have, we began to talk about this. So this grew from just simply two extra courts and a walking path to they said, you know what, we really need a 200-meter indoor track. We can attract talent, we can take our track team to the next level. And those were things that were interesting to us as well. Do you think we would like a 200-meter indoor track? You bet. It wasn't on our initial plan, but when you start to collaborate, you have these kind of conversations, things just grow. And so, beautiful, beautiful facility as you take a look at that and what it's going to bring to this community. And we truly want to make it a community facility. I know right now I've got staff and I don't ever want to chase people away from Walmart, but quite frankly, they get up at 5 in the morning and they go to Walmart and they walk because there isn't a place to walk, especially in the cold winter months. Well, we want this to be one of those kind of places where we can, at certain times during the day, invite our community in. So that's really important to us. So what's the timeline on this? The timeline on the maintenance and the transportation building, quite frankly, is it's already started. I put down here that is to begin in the next couple of weeks, but we had steel delivered today. So steel to the maintenance transportation building were delivered today. Brian's finishing up some work with the water line drawings. We're ready to get the dozers and the excavators out there. I mean, you're going to see a lot happening in this area. So what is the cost of this? Well, the cost of the field house really finished. That means all the stuff inside is about $8 million, and the maintenance and transportation building will come in right about $2 million. All that to say, this was something that really wasn't part of the original Gateway project, but there was a timing thing that was really important. So when you see where the location is, and hopefully I'll be able to show you that bigger picture, I know James will as well, the field house is going at the end of the parking lot at the stadium. And then that whole stadium parking is going to be paved. That's all part of the field house project. And if you've ever driven in that parking lot, good luck. You know, you might lose a tire every once in a while in there. That's going to be all fixed. But at the same time, we kept hearing of this need at the entrance to the stadium. And quite frankly, I heard about it from my wife more times than not, because the restrooms apparently just are not very good in the woman's side of things. And I see a couple chuckles. I saw the chuckle. But it's true. It was outdated. It was well done at the time. But it needs to be updated. And the timing was now, because if we weren't able to do it now and we came in a year from now or 2 years from now, we'd be ripping up all the asphalt that we already put down, and it would just make it a real challenge in that area. So this is kind of a rendering from the backside, looking onto the track. There's some things that you'll see there relative to how many restrooms. There's a lot more restrooms. They have greater space. We've increased our capacity at the concession areas, and we just want it to be very similar to what we have, because we believe in kind of that tradition and the things that it looked like in the past. We just want to update it. Timeline for that is even quicker. The maintenance and transportation building timeline was to be completed by the spring of next year. All right? This, when the Booster Club took this on as an extra piece, this needed to be done by the fall, by the start of this fall. And so if you've been out there, the old one's gone. It's no longer there. And I think you're going to find them doing some work on that within the next couple of weeks, because we've held them to a pretty tight timeline, because of that first football game night, we need to make sure we have these facilities ready to go. The cost of that is about $500,000. So this is bringing us all back to full circle, working collaboratively towards access to opportunity. Between the Mount Vernon City School Board Administration working with the Jacket Boosters, MVNU, Mount Vernon City Council, to create an even bigger vision for Mount Vernon and Knox County. Our goal through this project was we wanted to constantly be involved in the community. We've sought local contractors We want people from, Adina will be doing our work, Complete Comfort is in town, Gel Windows will be in our plan, Stafford Plumbing will be doing that part, Small Sand and Gravel. We want to keep the work right here in Mount Vernon as much as we can. So what's the funding piece look like? We've had a lot of people ask that, and I think it's important to make a special note here. You'll notice this first puzzle piece, the Mount Vernon building, the Mount Vernon Maintenance and Transportation Building, and Yellow Jacket Drive. We believe that's a responsibility of us as a school district. Those are vital to the continued importance of what we do each and every day. We'll be paying for that out of non-tax generated revenues as well as permanent improvement funds. So that $2.5 million, we believe that's our responsibility. And we may get some nice in-kind donations to help support that, and that would be awesome. But we're taking that on, and we believe it is our responsibility. However, the community and the field house and the stadium entrance, this is what's so incredibly impressive. That is being built through 100% fund raised by the Jacket Boosters and incredibly supportive community partners and donations. Let me say that again. 100% raised by the Booster Club, working collaboratively with supportive community partners and donations. We have some amazing, amazing community partners here who are willing to give beyond the finances, but just in their time and so on and so forth. So those are those kind of four components that are really unique. Just want you to take a couple seconds to look at this. This is the Jacket.
Welcome, Jacket Nation. This is certainly an exciting time in the history of our Mount Vernon athletic programs and, quite frankly, the Mount Vernon community. The Jackets Athletic Boosters, along with a public-private partnership with the Mount Vernon City Schools, have embarked upon the largest athletic facility upgrade project in our school's history, the Education Gateway Project. Over the past 20-plus years, the construction of a multi-purpose field house has been dreamt about, discussed, started, and stopped multiple times over. Well, today, as I stand before you, we can say with 100% certainty this project is happening, and we need your help to complete it. There are three components to this project that will be funded 100% through private contributions. Yes, you heard me correctly, through 100% private contributions. The first and largest of the projects included within the Education Gateway project is a multi-purpose community field house. This facility will not only prepare our student athletes for competition, it will be built to house competitions for both Mount Vernon High School and middle school, as well as an indoor competition space for the Mount Vernon Nazarene University's track and field teams. The field house will include a 6-lane, 200-meter competition track, 4 multi-purpose courts that will serve basketball, tennis, volleyball, and even potentially pickleball, a 4,000 square foot weight room fitness center for both our student athletes and physical education classes, locker rooms, classroom and meeting room space for both school and community, batting tunnels for baseball and softball use, and finally, a wrestling room. So as you can see, this facility will not only touch every program we offer here at Mount Vernon City Schools, but have the capacity to open its doors to our current community youth programs or expanded programs in the future. The second facility, which I stand at the site of today, is a new entrance and concession building as the gateway to Energy Field and Yellow Jacket Stadium. This facility, in desperate need of an upgrade, this new facility will address those needs. In fact, the old entry and concession facility is already demolished and on target to open for the fall seasons of 2019. The third and final component of this project is the paving and creation of parking lots, as well as the extension of Yellow Jacket Drive to Cougar Drive, providing better access, safety, and accommodating traffic flow during peak use of our facilities. So how are we going to pay for it all? Well, that's where we need you. In order for this project to be 100% privately funded, we've set a goal of $1.5 million to be raised to finish off this project. Here in Mount Vernon, it's no secret that we, all of us are blessed beyond imagine by the generosity of Karen Wright and the Ariel Corporation. This project is no exception. The Ariel Corporation has generously pledged to match any contribution given to this project dollar for dollar. This Ariel Corporation gift has already transformed the gifts of several of our generous donors to make this project, what used to be referred to as the Fieldhouse of Dreams, to a field house that will be a reality. The Jacket Boosters have partnered with the Knox County Foundation to process any gift that you might consider. These gifts can be of a one-time cash donation, a gift pledge to be paid over an annual term, or through the sale of stock options. Either way, the Jacket Boosters and the Knox County Foundation can assist you in your gift. Again, no gift is too small when we're blessed with the generosity of the Ariel Corporation's dollar for dollar match. So on behalf of the Mount Vernon City Schools and the Jacket Athletic Booster Organization, I want to personally thank you for your consideration of supporting this project. And I look forward to recognizing each of you when we meet our final goal and open these fabulous facilities here in Mount Vernon. So thank you, and go Jackets.
Okay, we'll have certainly some of that information that you can see over here, and so I'm going to introduce our final guest before we close things up. In November, I wouldn't have known who James Smith was, quite frankly, and now today, through a lot of time together, I not only consider him our colleague, but a good friend now, and so from MBNU, James Smith.
Thank you, Bill. I know there's a lot of information, so we're going to take a deep breath. I have a little less information to share, but still important. It's been so exciting to be a part of this collaboration. It's been a busy few months, but it's been a fun few months, and there are many of us in this room who have been working hand in hand, really weekly, daily a lot of times, but also weekly to try and pull this together. On behalf of Mount Vernon Nazarene University, we are thankful to be a part of this. We're excited to be in the room and in the conversation. In October, I've been at MVNU for 11 years. I was in enrollment, and as the VP of enrollment, and Dr. Spalding asked me to take over as interim VP. And right as I filled my old role, I backfilled my old role, I was out of training, and Dr. Spalding called me and said, we're going to have to move up the timeline on building a turf field. We had added JV soccer for both men's and women's. We had also added men's lacrosse as part of a pretty broad athletic expansion project that we're in the middle of. And our field was really taking a beating. I don't know if you've ever seen our soccer field, but it is grass and it's simple. You know, it's special, but it's simple. And it's been the same field that we've had for the entirety of our program. And putting 5 teams on there had really worn it out. We began to talk about the needs that we had for our athletic expansion, not only for soccer and lacrosse, but also specifically for track and field, which our athletic director, Chip Wilson, has coached and grown from 0 students to, I think, close to 80 track athletes this year, track and field athletes this year, over the past several years. And we knew that we needed a facility for that as well. So when Dr. Spalding called me there, he's like, we're going to need to try and do this for this fall. And I said, well, we'll see what we can do. Let's get going. And I came back that next week, and we had a board meeting that Friday. And when I talked to the board the night before, I'd been talking to Dr. Spalding. I remember calling him saying, hey, I'm not sold on turfing our current field. We might want to renew this old idea that we had. This idea that I'd heard was thrown around back in 2011 of building our field over by the high school to open up the opportunity for many collaborations, which you've heard a lot of today. And so this is the property that we look at going out Cougar Drive. You've heard people talk, Brian spoke about the bridge project, and the field house goes right here, and you'll see this in the next rendering. But as we begin to look at that, I would drive by it every day on my way back home. I'd drive down there and I'd say, that field needs to be used for something, but it's floodplain. But I think there's something we might be able to do, and I thought, let's start the conversations. And so that next week, we went to the board and we said to our board, would you please help support us with this idea of building a new turf soccer field? And we said, we're not trying to ask you to give to a location, we're asking you to give to a need, and we'll figure out the most needed location. And they pledged $150,000 that day to get us started on our way. Next week I met with Bill Cedar, and I knew he was probably close to saying no to the meeting, because I know they were far along on this field house project. In fact, I didn't mention the field house when I called him. I said, can we get together and talk? And we got there and I began to talk about this soccer stadium, and I said, we have a lot of needs for athletic expansion. And I feel like if we could place this soccer stadium back by you, there could be a lot of efficiencies and collaboration for both of us to help share some expenses instead of creating redundancies in our community, some ways to be more efficient and more effective together. And so Bill said, well, let's talk. And we began to get together, and I think maybe a week or two later, we actually got together and we said, let's start working on a master plan. And so we worked on a master plan of what this could look like together. And there is a rendering of this right here, and I believe you have one in front of you as well. This includes all the different areas you've heard about today. The field house is right here, the stadium building for the high school is here. This would be our soccer stadium, and this would be our soccer building. It includes the bus garage with some shared parking that connects to both the MV&U facilities building and the Mount Vernon High School, Mount Vernon City School District facilities building. So this also connects us in those ways. And we went through a few different renditions of this, but we came to something we really felt like could be extremely beneficial for really both of our organizations and also the entire city of Mount Vernon and the community surrounding us in this county. For our portion, the main need that we have right now is a soccer and lacrosse stadium. And well, I won't say the main need, I'll hit on a couple more there, but the main thing that we felt like we needed to build right now is a soccer and lacrosse stadium. And this would have a turf field. It does have about 500 seats, up from about 50 at our current one. It does have, it's going to be lighted in an all-weather field. It'll have concessions and restrooms, home and away locker rooms, ample parking. But it's also going to serve as the hub for the second part of this project that I'll tell you about in a second, of the community fields. We feel like for us, this is a centerpiece. When you drive down Mount Vernon Avenue and you look out over that empty field right now, this is going to be a pretty impressive facility there, right next to the field house that the school is building. But for us, we really needed a field house, and we really needed an outdoor track. We needed a place for indoor and outdoor track. And so that's what I approached Bill about that day, about the possibility. And he said, it's possible, but it has to happen in the next month. And so that's why we got to work and really started meeting with donors and figuring out if this is something that could be feasible. And it's been incredible to watch some of these lead gifts come in to make this dream a reality. The projected cost for this facility is $2.5 million, and that is for the soccer stadium aspect of this. Now, we do feel like this soccer stadium is something that is not just a hub for MV&U soccer and lacrosse, but we also feel like it's most likely going to be the home of Mount Vernon High School soccer as well. That's something that early on we didn't know that's something they were interested in, but this turfs are different. I don't know if you knew that, but there's different turfs. There are football turfs, there are soccer turfs. Lacrosse plays on whatever they can get their hands on, but they tend to play on more soccer turfs. And we're putting in a turf that's designed for soccer, and so it's something I think the high school soccer teams will be pretty excited about. It does some incredible things for our community by moving this field here as well. It provides us with 3 full-size fields that if either us or the high school wants to host tournaments in the future, we have 2 turf fields now, as well as our former grass field over by our baseball stadium. So there are really 3 full-size varsity fields that we could use to host tournaments, which is something that a lot of communities don't have in this closer proximity. The second part of this project, well, I'll show you some renderings. This is an overview. I would be basically standing on the roof of the field house. I mean, it'd be a tall roof. So maybe I'm on like a crane over the field house right now. And I'm looking down at our field. This parking lot right here would be one section of it, and there are 2 more sections going this way that the high school would be building as a part of the field house parking lot. And there would be a connecting walkway here with an entrance on this side of the field house building so people can enter from this side as well. This does include a press box and bleachers and all that, but this path right here gives us access over to the community fields that I'll speak about in a second. This field over here is part of the community fields, and that is a grass field. I try to clarify that for people so they don't think there's two turf fields in this plan. That is a grass field over there. And this is just a close-up of what we're proposing for the entrance to look like, with a nice donor wall in here, with a concessions area just inside that hallway, but also a place to register for tournaments. A big part of this project, a big part of this dream is we want to bring people to Knox County. We want to bring people to Mount Vernon. My two oldest sons both play travel soccer here in town for the Mount Vernon Stain, and I've seen the business that this travel soccer can bring to the community. We go there, some of the people on our team will stay all weekend. They'll get a hotel and stay there. Others, come back and forth, but we are eating in those communities. Many of them are staying in the communities. We are buying last-minute sunscreen and sunglasses in those communities. Sometimes camping chairs, whatever you need to get through a day of soccer tournaments. And we believe that this facility is really going to be the hub for some of these tournaments. So I went through some of this already of why we needed this, and it's in your packet if you want to review it. But really focusing on this location opened up such a bigger door for us. Instead of building our own field house down the road, instead of building our own track down the road, it gave us the opportunity to partner with the high school to utilize something that already has been built. In fact, when their track was built, it was built with us in mind. It was built to the quality that a college you can hold intercollegiate competitions on their track. And there's a couple elements that we'll need to add eventually, but we already have some plans and ideas of how to make that happen. But the indoor track space was very key to this. For us, that's something that we knew we needed, and we needed it soon. And this was an incredible opportunity to partner with them in a way that's mutually beneficial for both of us. Mount Vernon, Nazarene University, and MVHS students and fans are going to have a safe, well-lit soccer and lacrosse-focused stadium that we can be proud of. And part of that, we don't know if down the road lacrosse wants to come to this community, but if it ever does, we now have a facility that can be a home for that. Whether it's youth lacrosse, whether it's lacrosse for the high school, or whatever it may be, there's a potential for that now. And then these are the community fields, and this is something that I was very excited about. Back when Dr. Spalding was our provost and Dr. Martin was here, they entered into conversations with many other people, including Mayor Mavis, including the city schools at the time and the city engineer at the time. All those people have changed since that time, but I looked at the list, and two of those people are still around, and they're both here, Kim Rose and Mayor Mavis. Were in those meetings in 2011 talking about this idea. And honestly, this idea is what really drew my attention to this back property, because at one point, Dr. Martin just happened to show me a drawing of this dream that they had been working on that had not come to fruition. And so the night before our board meeting, one of the friends of our university sent me a copy he had of it, and I said, okay, we've got some potential here. And these fields, those are 4 full-size fields, but they can be broken down. Any field can be broken into 9 U7 fields or 4 U8 fields. So if any of you have ever seen a large soccer complex, this is going to rival any that you've seen in Central Ohio. This is a significant complex. These are all grass fields. They'll have movable boundaries that help us minimize the wear and tear and increase sustainability. There are 5 new fields, as you can see, the one on the bottom and the 4 up there. But again, those are 5 full-size fields, and when you start breaking them down to youth fields, it's pretty incredible the quantity of teams that you can get on these fields at one time. This does not include this optional parking at this time. This is just an idea and a dream that was on the original plan. So I know that's something that can cause some concern. Whenever anyone sees this drawing, they immediately think it's where that model airplane strip is. I know we all know about it and love it, but don't worry, it's right here. So even if this dream did come true, it's right here, and so even the idea and dream of a parking lot is not over top of that. If we did ever do parking there, it most likely would be a gravel lot as well, due to infiltration issues as well. The cost of this is $200,000, and the Knox County Foundation has awarded us a lead gift of $100,000 on this project. So we are well on our way, and that project does include this pavilion right here. So there's a place to kind of congregate during tournaments and a sidewalk connecting that walking path that Brian spoke about over to not only our stadium, but also the high school. So there's a little shortcut. Because we know if we don't give the students a shortcut, they're just going to go right here through that. They probably will anyways. But we're going to give them an option, okay? A little closer option. So I talked about this, and it's in your tournament, or in your packets there, but we really do feel like there's a lot of economic benefit to this project. We feel like, especially those businesses that are right on South Main Street are really going to benefit from a lot of families coming and knocking on their doors and buying their hamburgers and drinking drinks. And I think probably more fast food restaurants will say, why did we not build right down there closer to those fields? It's going to be an incredible opportunity, and it's amazing that right across the street we have a brand new park waiting to host those families when they're in between games and really allow families to see everything that this county and this community has to offer. The YMCA has approached us already about formalizing an agreement for them to use these fields. This is somewhere where they've really seen a need for a more permanent home for them, especially as the high school's expanding, some of their athletic offerings, and where the field house is going is taking some of the practice fields. And so our hope is really that these fields here are going to be the home of both Mount Vernon Sting and the YMCA once they are built. And we've been meeting with both those organizations. It's going to be a complex that really will rival anything we see. So we're very, very thankful to the Knox County Foundation for helping with that. So this is our funding progress. We did receive a matching gift from the stadium. That $501,000 is up to $509,000 after something I received today. So we're at $509,000 pledged towards that gift. We do have that lead gift. So we really are well on our way. This number here includes the matching dollars that we've received, that we are eligible for so far. So we're at $1.1 million, and we're heading there quickly. So Sam Brody is going to come back, and he's going to share some closing thoughts on our projects.
Thank you, James. First of all, I want to thank Brian, Bill, and James for keeping us right on schedule. I just love it when a plan like that comes together. We're right on time, and I know in a few moments we're going to go right to adjournment so that we can have the maximum available time and get everybody home in a reasonable time frame for you to go to the tables and ask more detailed questions that may have been generated. But I hope that you can appreciate, as I have come to appreciate over the past months, the level of interconnectedness between all of these projects. And I think maybe you come to understand now why we kind of chose that puzzle meme as an overriding theme, because the way things fit together, and it's, for example, a bus garage maintenance facility that connects to both campuses. The additional soccer stadium that has parking and access to the field house with dual use, and to the proposed community fields. The involvement of so many entities and the way that this has all come together almost by divine providence is something to behold. And I want to repeat what I said earlier. This does not happen in every community, but it is happening here. And we are extremely blessed to have the partners that we have in this community, the generous philanthropists that we have in this community, and the visionaries that we have in this community. We hope you've enjoyed it. I believe the plan right now is to adjourn, but I'll hand this over to Margie and Bruce to do as you will. And I know everybody will be at their stations ready to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, this is really an exciting opportunity and an historic occasion. So I would ask our treasurer to please call the roll after we have a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion for adjournment.
And a second. Thank you. So we have a motion by Mrs. Gessen and a second by Mrs. Fiesel. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Gessman?
Yes.
Mrs. Fiesel?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, and again, thank you for Mount Vernon Schools for hosting this, and the video and the PowerPoints are great, and the lighting for that's right. It's just a great facility to have it, so we really appreciate that. I'd also ask for a motion for adjournment.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay? We are adjourned.